What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. Denise Salcedo and Santi Zap are finally reunited once again to chat about the June 16th edition of Raw. And we got a couple of newsworthy bits to get into. But before we dive into that, Santi, how are you? There was a big, glorious sign right front and center that said, I love Santi. How'd you feel seeing that?
I felt loved. Shout out to Green Bay. I got them confused. I thought that was they were in Milwaukee, but no, Green Bay. So Green Bay rules. I hate your football team, but I love your people.
Now you got to go and eat some cheese in Green Bay and just have a blast. That's what you
Did
got to
you
do now.
did you catch the commercial break promo from the New Day making fun of Green Bay for being known for being the toilet paper capital of the world? I'm like, that should be good. You should want to be known for having toilet paper, not the opposite.
Yeah. Okay. See, I
Why
didn't
is that
even
an
catch that. I was
insult?
so blinded by Xavier Woods' pimp gear that's all I was talking about. But I guess it's a good thing, right? If you have toilet paper. I mean, at
Yes.
one time in our lives, toilet paper was the thing we were fighting for at the stores. So the fact that you got a surplus of toilet paper, thumbs up. But let's go ahead and get into this show. So we got a couple of things to dive into. I want to kick things off, unfortunately, with something that wasn't so great. And this also brings me to our first super chat of the night. This is from Anthony Giuliano, who says, do we know how long Liv will be out? There goes our match with Nikki and SummerSlam, with Nikki Bella, excuse me, and SummerSlam plans Dom and Liv versus Finn and Roxanne. So what happened here today, we had a matchup that was supposed to go down between Kairi Sane and Liv Morgan. However, unfortunately, at the very early start of this match, it looked like Liv Morgan, they later announced that she dislocated her shoulder, but in the beginning, I couldn't tell exactly what happened because you could see her elbow kind of crashed onto the mat. You see her whole arm kind of slid. They showed the replay a couple of times, and once you kind of look at that, you can kind of see how she ended up hurting herself. Now, a dislocated shoulder, until we find out really like the severity of it, you can't really know for sure how much time she's going to be out for. Santi, my brother actually just had surgery for a dislocated shoulder, and like he can't work. Like he's out of work for several months, and he got that from a football injury. So it's one of those things that, again, depending on the severity, we don't know how long Liv might be out for. But what were your thoughts on kind of what you saw? Obviously, an unfortunate situation.
Yeah, so obviously I'm not a doctor, but I do have. I'm sorry if I got your role wrong. I believe he's a physiotherapist, Big John Rehab, who has a Instagram page where he talks about different injuries that have happened in WWE and breaks them down on a scientific level. One of the things that he mentioned is that it really is dependent on whether it was a clean dislocation or a dislocation with ligament tears. If it's ligament tears, then we're talking about a long road to recovery for sure. I think what really sucks about all of this, it was after seeing the injury, it kind of just reminded me of like, oh my goodness, WWE had so many eggs in the basket of Liv Morgan. She was surrounded by so many different storylines. She has the thing going on with Nikki Bella, the thing going on with Dominic, and going on with Roxanne Perez. I don't know if it's still going, but the thing with BFAB and Michin, maybe for the women's tag titles. Now an Io Sky women's championship match. And now all of a sudden, regardless of whether it's a short-term injury or something that's going to be a lot more long-term with a lot more difficult rehab behind it, all of that has to get put aside and reset and changed. So I want to ask you, like, how do we go about that? Is it really as simple as just inserting Roxanne Perez into many of those situations that Liv Morgan was in?
Right. So what this reminded me of was when Rhea Ripley got hurt. When she got hurt, it kind of felt like, oh my God, like right after WrestleMania, she had just won the title, and we're thinking like, dude, this kind of feels like the end of the world. And on the bright side of that, that ended up kind of helping Liv Morgan in this odd way where she kind of blew up that year during that time that Rhea Ripley was away. So I'm looking at this now and I'm thinking, oh my God, is this going to be, can they find a successful way, kind of like what they did when Rio was gone. But instead, for Roxanne Perez, can they find a different avenue for her to take so that, you know, her momentum and this big story that she had going, that it doesn't just go down the drain? And then also, you know, in regards to Nikki, you know, clearly she came back for this whole Evolution thing. I didn't know if they were going to do a singles match, a tag team match, but the point is there was plans there. So this almost there's never a good time to get injured, but it kind of feels like right now was one of the worst considering all of the things that she had going. So in terms of Roxanne, here's the thing, I'm not worried at all with Roxanne, because right now there are still so many other people that she can kind of start something with that can eventually lead to something else. I mean, God, I mean, you have Stephanie on the show. She's kind of not, you know, she didn't win today in her matchup for the fatal four-way for the Queen of the Ring. So, you know, there's people that she can start something with. She can catapult off of what they've already done with her and Raquel. There's that animosity there. Of course, that begs the question of, will, you know, Liv have to obviously drop the women's tag team championship? That could be a situation where Roxanne suddenly goes in and fills her shoes in that. So I do think there's ways to go around it. It's just unfortunate that they have to do that.
Yeah, the precedent is there of just giving Roxanne the tag titles, by the way, with what happened with Bianca, Jade, and Naomi. That being a similar situation, but a manufactured, not a real injury situation. But they can roll with that if they really want to, if they want to keep the women's tag titles there. That is honestly where the women's tag titles are is like the least of my care. All of the other more prominent, important feuds, those are the ones where I'm a little bit bummed. Not a little bit, very bummed that we're going to have to either reset, pivot. But as you said, there's enough talent, there's enough bodies. I mean, if there wasn't enough bodies, they wouldn't be able to do an entire PLE for women's wrestling. So there is definitely enough bodies, enough credible women that you can slot in and pivot. And luckily, this is not a week or two before Evolution. You still got a handful of weeks. You got a 3 and a bit weeks, I believe, until Evolution. So plenty of time to be able to come up with something creative, something interesting, for somebody else to step in and take all of the baggage that Liv Morgan was carrying. So I think they're going to be okay, but it's still, as you said, it's never good when it happens. But if there was a time where it was one of the worst possible times, it was this one.
Yeah, 100%. And so the good thing is that with Evolution, we know that she is a great promo. You can still have her go out there, talk some shit. She's good on the mic and doing her thing like that. So again, depending on where she's at, if she has to have surgery, how that all works out, I guess that's a question for a later time. But obviously wishing Liv Morgan a speedy recovery. She's been busting her ass, Santi. Like, we know this. The fans know this. Whether you like or love or hate Liv, however you feel about Liv, she's been going out there. She's been doing the media appearances. She was just, you know, filming a movie in Japan. She's at all of the award shows. She's become a big star. She's been working nonstop, you know, for a long time. So yeah, sending her some good vibes. We got John Taylor here who says, DWO, did you know at the top tier of Patreon, you get a one-on-one video call with Denise? Our most recent one, Denise solved my math problems. So if you sign up at the top Patreon tier, Denise will do your math guaranteed. John, that's very, very sweet of you to send this in and also help me promote the Patreon. Very cool of you. And believe it or not, Santi, I'm actually really terrible at math. Is that a field you do well at? Because I don't. So bad.
No, I university math. I guess I was good enough at math to get into university, but my first year of university math, like it was, to be fair, the smarty pants math. I finished with a 50.03%, 3.3% away from failing. I had one exam, Denise, I kid you not, that the average, to be fair, it was a really hard exam. The average was a 34%. I got 6% on an exam. I originally got 8%, but I lost marks because I didn't do the proper form. She docked marks on an exam where I scored 8%.
No, that's so messed up. Yo.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't feel too bad now because I had to. Okay, so when you go into college, you have to take a placement exam to see where you're at.
Mhm.
It took me 3 classes to pass remedial math. I didn't even make it to college math when I was in college. That's so
Oof.
sad. Yeah.
All
And then
right.
I also cried in the final. So there's that too. I only passed because I did all the extra credit and I didn't miss one homework assignment. So thankfully, when you're a journalism major, they don't make you take more than college algebra and you can move on after that. So yeah,
If
me and
if
math.
I were if I were to put a long division question in front of you without a calculator, are you screwed?
My brain just stops functioning, Santi. Like, I'm not even kidding you. It's pathetic. It's really like, I think because I've told myself, oh, I suck at math, I'm stuck at math, to the point where I just shut down if there's any sort of math problems. You know what the worst is? And I would rather blow my brains out is a freaking word problem that's math. Like, if so and so had 20 lemons and then he gave 2/3 to his friend Frank. Oh, I hate those. I
Yeah,
hate
like
those.
first of all, why are you buying 45 pineapples at the superstore? All right. Why like what are you buying? Why? Anyways.
It's wild out there. John, thank you so much. We got Infamous Raider Loco who says, since TK, I mean, John Taylor figured out this burner account is Dirty Dom, I have to give Santi praise for always having my back. Prayers for my Liv. Thank you, Frank, as always. We got JM here who says, Seth is so cashing in his briefcase on Cody at SummerSlam. So let's talk about what went down here, because there's sort of a lot that goes into when and where Seth can potentially cash in his briefcase. Now, we closed out the show with a Seth Rollins Cody Rhodes stare down that happened after a whole melee of events unfolded, in which Jey Uso, shocking, ended up winning the Fatal 4-Way here and continuing into the tournament for King of the Ring. But he had some help. You know, LA Knight went out there, Sami Zayn went out there. It was because Braun Breaker was out there helping out Bronson Reed. Everyone and their mother went out there by the end of this. That once the match was over, Seth Rollins came out super pissed, confronted Cody, and there was basically a stare down. But here's the other thing, though. Some people, this takes us to something that happened earlier. We are officially getting Gunther versus Goldberg on the show, and some people have even toyed with the idea of what if Goldberg were to win and Seth cashes in on him. So I don't know. The floor is yours, Santi. What did you make first and foremost of Seth and Cody at the end of the show?
I think they're spelling it out for us. I think, my opinion, that Cody Rhodes is probably going to win King of the Ring. He's probably going to go to have his SummerSlam match against John Cena. I think he's going to beat John Cena at SummerSlam, and he gets cashed in on. You know, I think that finally Seth Rollins gets his win over Cody Rhodes, but just in the most dastardly, evil possible way that you can, by cashing in on him to take away that WWE Undisputed Championship. That's where I think that things are going to go with Seth Rollins. I hope he doesn't cash in when Goldberg wins. I'd like to see a long, fruitful Goldberg World Heavyweight Championship run. This is something that I've been waiting for a really long time. I really do miss Goldberg being in the championship picture. I think that WWE is just significantly better whenever he's running around with the World Heavyweight Championship. And frankly, I don't think that Gunther deserves it. I think that Gunther should do the job for Goldberg at Saturday night's main event, and we just have Goldberg hold until about WrestleMania. I think I'd be okay with that.
I heard, Santi, that you're willing to pay like $1,000 just to go meet Goldberg.
I paid
All right,
$2,000.
see what I mean? So, I mean, like, look, we're in a situation. Here's the thing, though. You mentioned the Seth cashing in his briefcase on Cody. Yo, it's weird because we all know that Cody has to get his redemption on John Cena. But then I've also been hearing from a lot of fans that they kind of don't want to see Cody Rhodes as champion once again. Are you there, or are you feeling why the fans are feeling that way? Are you on board with Cody getting back his championship title?
I'm indifferent. Like, I don't know what's to dislike about the idea of Cody Rhodes being a champion. He was there every week, having PLE storylines developing every single week. SmackDown, when he disappeared, was bad. Like, it was really, really bad. Now that he's back, now that the main event scene is filled up once again, it's better. Like, we benefit as wrestling fans having Cody Rhodes there, and having him as a champion is also a good thing. Now, if they were to go in a different route, you know, I'm okay with that, because I'm not that in love with the idea of Cody Rhodes being a champion. That's the only thing that I want to see. If they want to go in a different route, I'm okay with that, but I'm certainly not in the camp that I loathe the idea of Cody Rhodes being champion. I don't see that.
Yeah, I kind of felt bad because some people were saying like, oh, Cody's boring and he shouldn't be champion. And I'm just kind of thinking like, damn, but he's got to get his championship back after he was screwed and kind of made to look uncool after this whole John Cena stuff. So part of me is kind of torn of the idea of having Seth Rollins possibly cash in on Cody Rhodes. It could be a way to be like, okay, he did get his win back on John Cena, but also, hey, we're not getting that Cody Rhodes title run once again. So going back though to Gunther and Goldberg, this is a match that we all kind of knew for the longest time. I think for like a year now at this point, that we knew it was going to happen because he had talked about it on press events that he had done and whatnot. He had talked about it on podcasts, basically saying that he was going to be doing his retirement match. Now they haven't outright said it on TV that this would be his retirement match, so I'm assuming this is still his retirement match right here. But they haven't outright said it just yet. But it is happening at Saturday night's main event, Gunther versus Goldberg for the World Heavyweight Championship. And it's also going in at the same time as All In. Do you think this is enough to get some... For those that do watch both AEW and WWE, do you think that there's going to be a group of fans that prefer to watch that over All In?
I say this as a predominantly WWE fan. Hell no. Hell, do you think I'm going to miss the end of the tyrannical run of Jon Moxley for Goldberg versus Gunther? You think I'm going to miss out on Okada versus Omega for Goldberg versus Gunther? You think I'm going to miss Tony Storm versus Mercedes Moné for Goldberg versus Gunther? Are you kidding me? Listen, these shows don't go directly head to head, but All In is probably going to go so long that it'll probably cross over with the start of Saturday night's main event. I'm going to be watching All In. I just am. Look, under most circumstances, I always pick the WWE show over the AEW show. On my end, it's a business decision because the WWE show just does more eyeballs. There's more interest. But AEW's biggest show of the year, I'm not going to let it get overshadowed by Goldberg, of all people.
So, I mean, it is an interesting turn of events that's where we're at right now. It's wild to me, especially, what's funny? I just started thinking right now about some of the comments that Goldberg has made in the past about AEW, where I think he said it was like too cheesy or too corny or something. And I'm like, now that's going up against, like, that's running on the same night that this is possibly your last match ever. But here's the thing, though, like this match, I mean, I don't even know what I guess I know what we're expecting. I'm kind of expecting from it, the same things we kind of seen from Goldberg throughout his entire career, but it just feels weird that the World Heavyweight Championship is on the line here. Like, it wasn't necessary at all.
I agree. Feels unnecessary. Had they just run Gunther versus Goldberg, I'd actually just vanilla, right? Just a match between those two. I'd be a lot more on board. Here's the thing, Denise. All right. Here's the thing. I need you to come close and listen. There is a possibility Goldberg is our next world heavyweight champion. Okay. Yeah. The odds aren't zero. All right. No. This guy, when he's in matches for world titles, he just wins unnecessarily every damn time. When he doesn't need the title, when the fans don't want him to have the title, he somehow walks away with the damn title. All right. So I want to say the odds are zero. I want to say that it's such a bad decision that they would never do it, but there's a chance. There's a chance that Goldberg is our next world heavyweight champion.
I also feel like right now Triple H has maybe wanted to surprise a couple of people, maybe get somebody. Because here's the thing, like we said, they're going up against All In. They're going to want people talking about their show. For the most part, Saturday night's main event hasn't been a highly talked about show. People will be talking regardless. If Goldberg wins the World Heavyweight Championship, people will be talking about it on social media.
I don't know, Denise. Like, if I went to a public gathering and I want people to remember me, right? I could go the route of like being friendly, being kind, being a generally like pleasant person to talk about so that they walk away saying, wow, that Santi guy, I want to talk to him again. I want more of that Santi guy. I could also become very memorable by pulling down my pants and taking a shit in front of them. They'll be talking about me. You'll remember that. You'll remember that. But is that the type of conversation that I want to elicit?
I know that. You know that. Anyone with common sense knows that. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, we're talking about WWE and they're competing against AEW. And they're going to want any sort of light that is shined on AEW to turn the other direction and be shined on them. And if that means having Goldberg win and having people talk about it, they can possibly do it.
That is the wrestling equivalent of pulling down your pants and taking a shit in the middle of public. It is. It is. You will talk about it.
You know what the worst thing is? I've seen that happen here like 30 minutes.
Oh,
like
you're from LA.
From
that's
house.
that's just a Tuesday.
I saw someone take a shit outside one of my favorite places where I go eat chicken.
And here you are. You remember him. Huh? We're talking about him.
Worse, I still go back to that chicken place. It's my favorite chicken. Oh man, that's just terrible. All right, we got Casey Poole here who says still disappointed that Karrion Kross didn't get to go on Asante in the dodgeball tournament type run in King of the Ring. He needs to beat Sami. He's going into a matchup. I think they said, what was it, next week? Him and Sami. Finally, he's having this matchup. Okay. Here's the thing. This is what was funny. There was some irony in this promo because Karrion Kross went out there and started telling us what the definition of insanity is, which is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, right? And he kept saying like, oh yeah, he kept saying this, but I thought it was a little ironic because that's what we have been seeing Karrion Kross do the last couple of months. But he finally got this match against Sami. I don't think he should beat Sami, especially if Sami is part of this King of the Ring tournament and he's supposed to be having a matchup with Randy Orton.
He did say it would be after, he did say like once all the King of the Ring stuff is done, I'm going to make sure that I kick your ass or whatever. So it'll be after the smoke settles from King of the Ring. Either Sami has won or lost. I'm just excited for the match to exist. The fact that it's anything Karrion Kross related, I know you loathe. I know you hate it. I know you can't stand it.
That's not true.
It's 100%, 1,000,000% certified, true, laminated, sealed, sent and delivered. Facts from Denise Salcedo.
Right here. This is clickbait.
Classic California rage bait right there. Fake news. No, jokes aside, I could maybe see that being a Saturday night's main event match. You talked about trying to create a conversation, trying to take the water cooler conversations away from AEW All In. Fans have been wanting a Karrion Kross match, so maybe putting a Karrion Kross match at Saturday night's main event might be what creates the discourse that could be chiming over any discourse about All In. It's possible.
Sure. All right. We got Bob Ross Jr. here who says, I'm here to remind you that the last time we had R-Truth versus John Cena in a regular TV match, we got the infamous CM Punk pipe bomb promo. Jesus Christ. Thinking about those two things parallel to each other is kind of insane. But we are seeing that matchup on SmackDown this week. By the way, everybody keeps bringing up the fact that, they're still calling him R-Truth, even though he's Ron Killings. Do you have any explanation for that? Because I was honestly didn't really have an explanation for that.
I don't. I thought he was Ron Killings. Is all I have.
Anthony Giuliano here says, do you guys have a prediction on who will fill in to face Nikki at Evolution? Gosh, Jesus. I mean, Roxanne Perez is a perfect option in a way because Roxanne looked up to Nikki a whole lot, and Nikki, has admired that Roxanne looked up to her. I mean, they have pictures together at meet and greets and her crying, and who knows, this can turn into a, I hate my idols type of thing, which we've seen Roxanne Perez do several times. So it could be a situation where it could even be as easy as Roxanne Perez.
I mean, yeah, I think that makes sense. I thought they were going to do Liv Morgan and Raquel versus Nikki Bella and Rhea as a tag match, just to get as many people as possible. Because I saw, Rhea and Raquel had this thing going. Liv and Nikki would have had this thing going. I thought that's where they were going to go. So it could legit just be Raquel and Rox versus Rhea and Rhea and Nikki Bella. Yeah, Nikki.
We got Josh D here. Thank you, Josh, for the generous super chat. He says, I'm one of two so far out of my King of the Ring outcomes. Asuka winning to face her old tag partner, and I'm hoping for my second, it being Jey and Sami in the finals. You were on Friday. you were on Friday, Cody versus Orton needs to build up in big storylines at Major PLE. Yeah, that's kind of where I was going. And then I ended up changing my mind. I kind of changed my mind in my follow-up predictions video, and I'm already wrong because I ended up going with Stephanie. Even I doubted myself. I knew Asuka was going to win this, and I doubted myself, and I ended up going with Stephanie. But let's talk about this because this was one of my favorite parts of the show was the women's fatal four-way, the last one for the Queen of the Ring tournament. And Asuka made her return look absolutely awesome with that really cool black and white mask, the really cool purple and green face paint matching her hair. She looks phenomenal. The same Asuka that we have known to love and respect over the last couple of years. And she hadn't been, on TV or wrestling in like a year and a half, they said. So a really long time. She came in here and she won this matchup. I wasn't sure because I thought, okay, Asuka can't come back and just lose like this. And Stephanie Vaquer, but she's so freaking popular, right? Like she's so popular. And I know people were so disappointed when she lost. I saw so many people being like, damn it, I wanted Stephanie to win. And I get it. So that's where we're at right now. Asuka advances and she's going to go on to face Alexa Bliss. And then we're also going to be getting Jade and Roxanne. So now looking at this, I'm still sticking with my overall pick of it being Jade Cargill. But do you feel like it might be Jade? Do you feel like it might be something else? And were you surprised Asuka won this?
I was honestly fine with Asuka or Stephanie Vaquer. I'm like, I think both of these are great options. I'm glad that Stephanie didn't take the pin at the very least. I'm looking for silver linings there. But if you want to capitalize on like one last big run for Asuka, then I'm glad that she got the win here. I'm glad that they went back to her old theme as well. I don't know if you picked up on that, which is pretty awesome. So I mean, like, I'm never going to be mad about Asuka getting a push. Like, that's just I'm never going to be on board just because the one that I really like, Stephanie Vaquer, isn't getting the push. I'm not going to all of a sudden hate the Asuka push because that's also something that I'm absolutely here for. And I'm absolutely going to be eyes glued to the screen. I'm excited for the semifinals that have been properly announced, but I still think that this is Jade Cargill's tournament to lose. I think she's winning this thing.
Yeah, I feel like she's got it. But who do you think she goes up against, though? Asuka or Alexa?
I think it's going to be Alexa.
Oh, shit. See, oh, man, like that would be good. I feel like all of these matches, though, all of them are some that we know.
Maybe Asuka. I could see Charlotte costing Alexa.
Oh, yeah. Okay, unless she costs her all the way into the finals.
Maybe.
Either way, I guess it can happen in either direction there. I don't know, man. See, this one's tough. Like, I feel like I'm still going with Jade, but I mean, you can pretty much make a case for anybody because, like, people want to see Asuka versus Io. Alexa Bliss is so popular. Roxanne Perez now has an open wide space for something to happen after following the Liv stuff. So you can really make a case for anybody. Thank you so much, Josh D. We got Sin City Saint who says, I'm with Santi. Imagine the matches: Cody versus Goldberg, Mr. Iguana versus Goldberg.
Book it.
Thank you, Sin City Saint. Anthony Giuliano says, I met Goldberg when he was in WCW. He was cool. So, Santi, I need to tell you my Goldberg story, okay?
Oh, tell me.
So, Goldberg was very, very nice to me, and I'm actually, I'm a Goldberg fan, so there's that. But so in 2019, when they had the Fox premiere, they did a blue carpet in LA. So get this. So Goldberg was walking down the press line, right? And there's me, and then there's a guy next to me who I actually know is a friend of mine, but he was dressed, I think he was dressed like Macho Man, or he was dressed like he had something. I forgot what it was. He was dressed in costume, right? And Goldberg saw him, looked at him, and was like, no, I'm not going to do the interview with him. Like, he wasn't interested in doing the interview with him. And then he looked at me, and I was like, oh, fuck, like, is Goldberg not going to want to do the interview with me? And he looks at me, and he goes, hi. And I go, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Denise. I'm like, are you interested in doing an interview? He's like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, oh, shit. So, like, I kind of felt like, he had the option to deny me, and he didn't. So I feel like he kind of made, I can't hate him because, he was nice to me.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's a cool story.
Yeah, I felt special. I was like, yay, I got chosen.
You're a Goldberg girl.
Sure, I guess.
No, just say it loud and proud. You're a Goldberg girl.
I mean, he was nice to me. I can't be mean to someone that was nice.
See, there you are, coward. You won't say it. You won't lean into it. Says, I'm a Goldberg fan. Tells this beautiful story about how Goldberg gave her an opportunity. I say you're a Goldberg girl. You're like, I don't know.
Okay, well, I don't don't agree with some of the things that he has said recently in podcasts. That's kind of been like, I can't really get on board with some of those things. But I always was a fan of his and like just like his overall career that I was a fan of. And then obviously in that moment, I was still a fan. But hey, he was nice. All right, we got Larice Johnson here who says Santi Goldberg is not going to win against Gunther, and I want to see Randy Orton to be WWE Undisputed Champion. I feel like Randy, given he's so popular, but I feel like there's only been a couple of people that have kind of predicted him or wanted him to predicted him actually winning this. So he would be this sort of, even though he's so popular, he would still kind of be the dark horse in this tournament.
I'd agree.
Thank you, Larice. We got Bob Ross Jr. who says, decent Monday Night Raw, but who's ready for the official start of the Blake Monroe era of NXT tomorrow? I am. Plus, we're also starting the Evolution Eliminator matches, so I'm looking forward to all of those.
Is she in it?
No, she wasn't announced for those.
She wasn't announced for those.
She's doing the contract signing, yeah. I was a little bit bummed out, but maybe I'm thinking that there's a bigger reason for her on that. Sin City Saint says, people say nothing happens on Saturday night's main event. I'm going with the scenario Goldberg wins, Seth cashes in, makes Saturday night unmissable in the future. I don't know if he would do the cash in at Saturday night's main event. Like, I know people are predicting it, but I mean, some things happened on the last Saturday night's main event. Cody came back. That happened.
True.
I don't know.
True.
Hassan Batla says, I don't want to see Goldberg versus Gunther, but as a guy pushing 60, he's still got hella aura while my body is giving up in its 30s.
I feel that, brother. I've been rotting since 28.
It's so sad. CJ here says, I think the booking for Cody's reign prior to the KO heel turn put some people off Cody as champ. The AJ feud was okay, but the solo bloodline stuff was dog shit. Great matches. That's what everyone's saying. Great matches overall, just nothing that met the same. I think the problem was, Santi, we came off of such a hot stuff with him and The Rock and Roman Reigns and all of what happened with Cody at WrestleMania 40. And then to go into just anything else, nothing was going to match that magnitude of what we were getting before.
And they didn't pay it off. That's the annoying part. The thing with The Rock, they just like, okay, all right. So everything that wasn't that was always something that some fans would get soured on. It's like, okay, when are we going to get into the Rock thing? When are we going to revisit this story? And then they just never did. And look, I still liked Cody's reign, but I would have liked it a lot more if we didn't have that moment between him and The Rock on the Raw after WrestleMania 40.
Yeah, twice they revisited and twice it still hasn't happened. Imperial Silence says, so what's the over-under on the length of the match between Gunther and Goldberg? I say 7 minutes and I'm betting the over, but just barely. I think 5 to 7 minutes is probably what we'll get out of it. I can't imagine it being much longer, to be honest. I don't think it should be much longer.
I think it'll be under 5 minutes. Goldberg's best match in the last, in his run after returning in 2016 was that 5-minute match at WrestleMania with Brock Lesnar. That was genuinely his best match. And it was actually like good. That is a match I genuinely recommend non-wrestling fans. Like you might recognize the name Brock Lesnar because of UFC. Here's just this car crash between just two beefy dudes beating the crap out of each other for 5 minutes. That way you don't have to sit through a 35-minute New Japan match.
That's honestly a good one. I'm gonna have to start using that one. JJ Castillo says, just why WWE continues to give Goldberg a title match. He makes his opponents look weak because he can only wrestle for 5 to 10 minutes and they make him look strong. Classic Vince booking. So it seems like a lot of people are even though we've known that this was on the verge of happening, it still seems like people are not really too keen on it. So it's where we're at. JJ, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Stephen Martrulli here says, how about Roman returns to cost Seth the cash-in at Saturday night's main event, sets up SummerSlam match. Cody beats Cena night 2, puts Cody in chase mode, excuse me. Dude, I don't even know when Roman Reigns is coming back at this point. Like, it feels weird that we're getting so much closer to SummerSlam and he's still not here.
Yeah, I don't think that they can do another return at SummerSlam event for Roman, right? I think we're all expecting him to have a match in what's supposed to be the biggest SummerSlam of all time.
2 nights, bro. Roman Reigns better have a match or else I'm gonna be like, come on, these prices, these 2 nights, we got to do something. Thank you, Steven. We got Nishi Emmanuel here who says Goldberg ain't winning. It's just an honor match.
Is that like Nishi? 1,000,000%. Can you say that with confidence, life on the line, because I can't. I am 99.999% sure that Goldberg is going to lose. But like that bacteria that sticks around when you use hand sanitizer, that's a Goldberg championship opportunity. That's what happens. He's the 0.01% that nothing can kill, not even fire.
Damn. All right, poor Nishi. Now he's second guessing this whole thing. We got Josh D here who says, I feel bad for Liv. I also feel bad for Kairi because even though it wasn't her fault, being part of 2 big injuries in a month's period must be tough for her. Yeah, man. When it always comes to like, people getting a hard time on the internet for being part of someone's injury, it's always unfair. This is a dangerous sport. Everyone knows what they sign up for. Again, if it wasn't a dangerous sport, we'd all be doing it. Thank you, Josh. We got Sin City Saint here who says, was I the only one who missed Carlito in the Judgment Day segments? Of course, it's sad to see, poor Carlito get, have to get released and all of that. But I feel like they kind of moved on pretty quickly. So, and it's just a totally different reaction from the R-Truth stuff and the Carlito stuff. I feel the R-Truth stuff completely overshadowed the Carlito stuff, unfortunately. But that's just what happened. Sin City Saint, thank you so much for that super chat. All right, we got the last big thing that we need to talk about for this show is the feud, a little feud that we got, a little promo back and forth between Bayley and Becky Lynch. And this one, I had some good times with this because this was basically Becky telling Bayley, hey man, you're good with playing second fiddle. I'm not good with playing second fiddle. That's why you're constantly forgotten about. That's why you're constantly in plan B, part 2, whatever the hell you want to say. And Bayley was basically telling Becky, I care about this division and I'm willing to bring up girls. I'm willing to help other people. And so they have 2 very different philosophies, and we were seeing them go back and forth here. And this match has been made for, I believe they said next week. Yeah, yep. Next week on Raw, we will be seeing this match for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, I want to see Bayley win, but I don't think that this is the match that it's happening in. I think we're gonna see this match again, maybe at Evolution. That's when I've been expecting this match to happen. I think that this one will end with some sort of shenanigans. Santi, are you feeling the same way?
I think the match at Evolution should be a triple threat involving Lyra. I think leaving Lyra out of this Intercontinental Championship picture at Evolution would be a disservice, considering she's been one half of what's been elevating this championship to make it feel like truly actually special. I just wasn't feeling this conversation, this promo between the two. I thought it was really awkward. I wasn't buying what they were trying to sell me on. But I'm interested and bought into a match at the very least.
See, I did like it because I felt like there were some things that just rang very, very true with, again, them just having different ways of how they approach their careers and how they've approached, because in a way, like, you can argue that maybe Bayley has taken a step back. I don't know. It's hard to say, right? Everyone looks at things differently, but the way that Becky just kind of painted this picture, I felt like, okay, I can see why she would say things this way, but I can also see why Bayley would say the things that she said about caring about the women's division, because Bayley has been known to be that kind of locker room leader. And while both Bayley and Becky have been very successful in their careers, Becky has found herself with a little bit more success. And so it makes this argument seem very valid between them. So that's the reason why I liked it. Plus, I also felt like it had been a minute since we've seen, Bayley and Becky like really share some words between each other. So I think it was also a little bit of nostalgia mixed in there. But the thing that I was wondering, and I don't know if I read this wrong, but did you sense like a little bit of a change in Lyra in that backstage with Bayley? She seemed really, really pissed, and I get why she's pissed, but I also feel like she shouldn't be as pissed as she is, because I think she knows why Bayley attacked Becky. Like all of Bayley's actions have made sense.
Yeah, but I mean, I've also, if I'm Lyra, I'm like, okay, why are you getting to jump over me for the Intercontinental Championship that I raised, that I lost? I should be getting first dibs at Becky Lynch, not you. So that's why I think that they're trying to create a little bit of animosity between those two, because I do think that you can't just have them be, happy-go-lucky, awesome best friends as they go towards what I think is going to be a triple threat match between those three at Evolution. So I think the match is going to end with shenanigans involving Lyra Valkyria.
All right, book it. I think you're spot on that one. We got Anthony Giuliano here who says the problem with Roman is WWE wants to cut Roman's pay and Roman feels disrespected and don't want to come back. You don't like TKO's decision. So I haven't seen I kind of go with certain outlets, and until those people put that stuff up, I saw this, but I haven't seen it by somebody that was credible. So I'm not fully on board just yet with that one there. So Anthony, thank you so much.
Jonathan Coachman as a source doesn't do it for you?
I mean, look, I just got give me a second, all right? Let me see some credible places, vouch for this, Anthony, and then we'll talk about it. Bob Ross here says 3 certainties in life: death, taxes. JBL randomly appears at wrestling promotions in Mexico and talks shit. He apparently appeared at Triple Mania Regia yesterday. Yeah, JBL is pretty much everywhere. So there you go. Death, taxes, and JBL randomly popping up. Hey man, at some point I'm gonna have JBL pop into this podcast and just appear and do something.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob Ross. JJ Castillo here says, will John Cena hold the title until SummerSlam given his limited appearance? I don't see him holding it until his last match. Also, who's John Cena's last opponent? I still don't have John Cena's last opponent, and I do think he drops the title at SummerSlam. Thank you, JJ. All righty. So with that being said, guys, I think we got it all. That is our show for Monday Night Raw. As always, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys had a good time with Santi and I. Santi, please tell the people where they can follow you.
You can find me on any and all things Santi Zab, whether it's social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or some of the longer video platforms like here on YouTube. Just look up Santi Zab, pick your poison. I'm there.
And we also got a super chat from Marco Gamez. Didn't write anything, but thank you so much, Marco, for sending this in. That was very kind of you.
Do you think it's Gamez or Games?
I thought it was Gamez.
Could be Games, like James.
No, I think it's Gamez.
Marco, send another $10 super chat to confirm whether it's Games or Gamez.
Wait, I feel if it's not Gamis, I'm gonna feel so stupid because I read it like as a last name, because no one's last name is Games.
Yeah, but it's the internet. I have Super Saiyan Vegeta 003 Jesus loves rock and roll in my chat.
But I don't think Marco is going for that kind of username. I think he's going for his actual name.
All right, Marco Gamez.
Please tell me I'm right. See, now I'm never gonna get this ever. It's gotta be Gamez.
If you ever go buy a video game at GameStop, I think it'd be hilarious if you called it Gamez Stop. That'd be something that like my foreign ass dad would say. He calls Facebook Facebook.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it's Gamez. I'm ready with Gamez. I haven't seen enough date here on the chat.
What if he's a gaming YouTuber and his YouTube channel is Marco Games?
Oh yeah, that's true. I didn't think. No, but his default though, he would have a video game on it.
I don't have a wrestling ring in my photo.
Neither do I, but still.
I'm just saying it could be Games.
Okay, we got an answer. Marco, you're too kind. And he sent the $10 super chat, like you said. He said Gamez. It's usually Gomez, but mine's is Gamez. You see? I was right.
Hey, Denise, I got you an extra $10, all right? With this stupid conversation. Shout out to Marco Gamez.
That is hilarious. Marco, thank you so much. I'm sorry you got peer pressured by Santi. That's funny as hell. All right, guys, that is it for us today. Thank you guys so much. Catch you guys on the next one. Bye, everyone.